Tonight, we begin with a story that proves love doesn't always arrive wearing a cape or riding a white horse. Sometimes it shows up in a pizza delivery uniform, cracking jokes at the worst possible moments, and somehow managing to save the day anyway. This is the tale of Wade and Vanessa, two souls who found each other in the most ordinary of places and discovered that extraordinary love often hides behind the most unexpected faces. Before you settle in for this gentle journey, take a moment to get comfortable. Pull your blankets a little higher, adjust your pillow just right, and let the world outside fade away. Tonight's story is one of laughter, kindness, and the beautiful mess that is falling in love. It's a tale where the hero doesn't need superpowers to be super, and where the greatest adventures happen not in distant galaxies, but in quiet moments between two people who choose to see the magic in each other. Our story unfolds in a city much like any other, where neon signs flicker against evening skies and people hurry past each other on busy sidewalks, each wrapped in their own small universe of hopes and worries. It's the kind of place where dreams and reality dance together on street corners, where a chance encounter can change everything, and where love stories begin not with orchestras swelling, but with the simple sound of laughter echoing through an ordinary night. Oh, Wade Wilson wasn't your typical romantic hero. He worked odd jobs, told terrible jokes that somehow became funny through sheer persistence, and had the remarkable ability to find humor in situations that would leave most people speechless. His apartment was small, his bank account smaller, but his heart was vast enough to hold all the wonder and absurdity the world could offer. He believed that life was too short to take seriously and too precious to waste on being anything other than authentically, unapologetically himself. On this particular evening, Wade found himself delivering pizza to an apartment building that seemed to lean slightly to the left, as if it were trying to eavesdrop on the conversations happening next door. The hallway carpet had seen better decades, and the fluorescent lights flickered in a rhythm that suggested they were trying to communicate in Morse code. It was the kind of place where people minded their own business, and where the thin walls meant everyone's business became everyone else's, whether they wanted it or not. He climbed the stairs two at a time, balancing 3 pizza boxes with the practiced ease of someone who'd learned to navigate the world while carrying more than he could reasonably handle. The building was quiet, except for the distant sound of a television playing an old movie, and the gentle hum of air conditioning units working harder than they probably should. It was the peaceful quiet of evening settling in, when the day's chaos begins to fade and people start thinking about home. Wade found the apartment number and knocked with his free hand, a cheerful rhythm that announced his arrival without demanding immediate attention. He expected the usual transaction, a brief exchange of pleasantries, payment, and perhaps a small tip if he was lucky. What he didn't expect was for the door to open and reveal someone who would change the entire trajectory of his story. Vanessa stood in the doorway, and for a moment, the world seemed to pause its relentless spinning. She had dark hair that caught the hallway light just so, eyes that held both kindness and mischief, and a smile that suggested she knew secrets about joy that most people had forgotten. She wore comfortable clothes that spoke of someone who valued being herself over impressing others, and there was something about her presence that made the cramped hallway feel suddenly spacious and full of possibility. Pizza delivery for someone having what I sincerely hope is an excellent evening, Wade announced, his usual delivery routine flowing naturally, despite the fact that his brain seemed to have momentarily forgotten how words worked. "That would be me," Vanessa replied, and her voice carried the warmth of someone who found genuine pleasure in simple interactions. "Though I have to admit, I wasn't expecting the entertainment package along with dinner." Wade grinned, recognizing a fellow traveler in the land of gentle sarcasm. "Entertainment is complimentary, though I should warn you that the reviews are mixed. Some people find my material charming, others question my life choices. Lucky for you, I enjoy questionable life choices," she said, reaching for her wallet. "They make the best stories." As she counted out bills, Wade noticed the way she moved with unconscious grace, how she seemed completely comfortable in her own skin. Her apartment, visible through the partially open door, was small but filled with personal touches that spoke of someone who created home wherever she happened to be. Books were stacked on surfaces, plants thrived in corners that caught just enough light, and photographs covered the walls like windows into a life rich with friendship and adventure. "You know," Wade said, accepting the payment and a tip that was more generous than the service probably warranted, "most people just take their pizza and close the door. You're making me feel like I'm actually good at this job." "Maybe you are good at it," Vanessa suggested. "Maybe you just haven't been delivering to the right audience." There was something in the way she said it that made Wade suspect she wasn't talking only about pizza delivery. The hallway, which moments before had felt cramped and slightly tilted, now seemed like the exact right place to be standing, having the exact right conversation with exactly the right person. "I don't suppose," Wade found himself saying, before his practical mind could intervene, "that you'd be interested in sharing one of these pizzas? I mean, I've got 3 here, and unless you're expecting company or have developed the appetite of a small army, that seems like more than one person should reasonably attempt to consume alone." Vanessa tilted her head, considering the offer with an expression that suggested she was weighing more than just the merits of pizza sharing. "Are you asking me to dinner, pizza delivery guy?" "Wade," he said quickly. "My name's Wade, and I guess I am. Though I should probably mention that this isn't my usual approach. Normally, I just hand over the food and retreat to my car, where I can process social interactions in private and wonder what I should have said instead." "Well, Wade," she said, stepping back and opening her door wider, "I'm Vanessa, and I was just thinking that eating alone is overrated anyway. Come on in, but I should warn you that my apartment is small, my furniture is secondhand, and I've been known to ask personal questions when I'm comfortable with someone." Wade stepped across the threshold, and something shifted in the universe. Not the dramatic, earth-shaking kind of shift that comes with explosions and special effects, but the quiet, profound kind that happens when 2 people decide to stop being strangers and start being whatever comes next. The apartment was exactly as he'd glimpsed from the hallway, cozy and personal, and filled with the kind of details that make a space feel lived in, rather than just occupied. Vanessa moved through it with the confidence of someone who'd made peace with having less stuff but more personality than most people manage to accumulate. "Kitchen table or couch?" she asked, gesturing to the 2 main seating options available. "Couch," Wade decided. "Kitchen tables are for serious conversations and tax preparation. Couches are for getting to know someone while pretending you're not trying too hard." "Excellent choice," Vanessa agreed, settling onto one end of a sofa that had clearly been chosen for comfort over aesthetics. "Though I should mention that I actually enjoy serious conversations too." Fair warning, Wade claimed the other end of the couch, close enough for easy conversation, but far enough away to maintain the illusion that this was a casual encounter, rather than the beginning of something that would redefine everything he thought he knew about connection and possibility. They opened the pizza boxes with the ceremony of explorers discovering treasure, and as the aroma filled the small space, Wade realized he couldn't remember the last time sharing a meal had felt like such an adventure. "So," Vanessa said, selecting a slice and settling back into the cushions. "What's the story, Wade? How does someone end up delivering pizza and making jokes in hallways on a Tuesday night?" "That," Wade replied, "is either a very short story or a very long one, depending on how much time you have and how much honesty you're prepared to handle." "I've got time," she said simply, "and I'm tougher than I look." Wade studied her face, seeing something there that made him believe she meant exactly what she said. In her eyes was the kind of steady warmth that suggested she'd heard stories before, that she understood how complicated life could be, and that she wasn't easily scared away by truth. "The honest version is that I'm figuring it out as I go along," he admitted. "The pizza delivery is temporary, though I've been saying that for longer than is probably advisable. I'm good at a lot of things, but I haven't quite figured out which of those things might actually pay the bills while also not making me want to fake my own death and start over somewhere with better weather." Vanessa laughed, a sound that seemed to light up corners of the room that Wade hadn't noticed were dim. "I respect that level of self-awareness. Most people pretend they have it all figured out, when really, they're just as lost as everyone else." "What about you?" Wade asked. "What's your story? Besides having excellent taste in pizza toppings and being willing to invite strange delivery guys into your apartment." "Well," Vanessa said, tucking one leg beneath her in a gesture that suggested she was settling in for a real conversation, "I work at a coffee shop downtown, which means I spend my days caffeinating people and listening to more personal information than anyone should reasonably have to process before noon. I'm saving money for something, though I'm not entirely sure what yet. And I have a theory that the best conversations happen with people you're not supposed to be talking to." Deep, Wade felt something warm unfold in his chest, a recognition that went deeper than attraction or interest. Here was someone who understood that life was improvisation, that the best moments often came unplanned, and that sometimes the most meaningful connections happened when you stopped trying so hard to make them happen. They talked as the pizza disappeared, slice by slice, their conversation meandering through topics both serious and silly, with the ease of old friends catching up rather than strangers getting acquainted. Vanessa told him about her collection of vintage postcards from places she'd never been, each one a small window into someone else's adventure. Wade shared his theory that every city had a secret personality that only revealed itself to people who were willing to walk slowly and pay attention to details others missed. She described her habit of leaving encouraging notes in library books, tiny gifts for strangers who might need a reminder that someone cared. He confessed his dream of writing comedy that made people laugh and think at the same time, the kind of humor that brought joy without leaving anyone behind. As the evening deepened around them, the apartment seemed to grow even cozier. The soft lamplight created warm pools of gold that made everything feel intimate and safe. Outside, the city continued its nightly rhythm. But inside this small space, time moved differently, more gently, like honey poured from a jar on a lazy afternoon. Wade discovered that Vanessa had a way of listening that made him feel heard in ways he hadn't experienced before. She didn't just wait for her turn to speak. She absorbed his words, reflected on them, and responded with thoughtfulness that made every exchange feel meaningful. When he made jokes, she laughed, not because she felt obligated, but because she genuinely found him funny, and her laughter encouraged the best parts of his humor to emerge. "You know what I love about conversations like this?" Vanessa said, curling deeper into the couch cushions. "They remind me that there are still people in the world who are interested in more than just the surface of things, who want to dig a little deeper and find out what makes other people tick." Wade nodded, understanding exactly what she meant. It's like finding out that someone else speaks the same secret language you thought you were the only one who knew. Suddenly, you're not alone with all your weird thoughts and observations about the world. "Exactly," she agreed, her eyes brightening with recognition. "Like how you notice that every neighborhood has one house where someone clearly loves their garden more than anything else in the world, and you can tell just by walking past that whoever lives there probably has the most interesting stories. Or how there's always one person in every coffee shop who's writing something important," Wade added, warming to the theme. "And you can tell it's important not because of what they're doing, but because of how carefully they're doing it. Like every word matters." They continued this dance of shared observations, each revelation building on the last, creating a bridge of understanding between their separate experiences of the world. Wade realized that Vanessa saw life through a lens similar to his own, finding magic in ordinary moments and meaning in the spaces between the obvious things. "I have a confession," Vanessa said, setting down her second slice of pizza and giving Wade her full attention. "When you knocked on my door tonight, I almost didn't answer. I was having one of those evenings where everything felt a little too quiet, a little too much like I was just going through the motions of living instead of actually living." Wade felt something tender unfold in his chest at her honesty. "And now I'm reminded that the best parts of life usually show up when you're not expecting them," she said softly. "Sometimes wearing a pizza delivery uniform and telling jokes that are terrible enough to be wonderful." The compliment hit Wade somewhere deeper than his usual confidence, in a place where he stored his hopes about who he might be capable of becoming. "You know, I was having a similar kind of evening, the kind where you start wondering if you're just taking up space in the world, or if you're actually contributing something worthwhile." "And what's your conclusion?" Vanessa asked, her voice gentle with genuine curiosity. Wade looked around her apartment, at the way she'd created beauty and comfort from simple things, at the photographs that spoke of friendships and adventures, at the plants that thrived under her care. He looked at her, sitting cross-legged on her couch, offering him the gift of her attention and interest, and felt something shift permanently in his understanding of what it meant to matter. "My conclusion is that sometimes the most important thing you can do is show up," he said. "Just be present and real and willing to connect with whatever comes your way, even if it's just delivering pizza and making conversation with someone who happens to answer their door." Vanessa smiled, and Wade felt like he'd passed some kind of test he hadn't known he was taking. "I think that might be the secret to everything," she said, "just showing up and being willing to see what happens next." As if to prove her point, she reached for the remote control and gestured toward her small television. "Speaking of seeing what happens next, would you like to watch something? I have a collection of movies that are either so good, they're classics, or so bad, they're entertaining. Your choice." Wade considered the options, but found himself reluctant to shift their attention away from each other toward a screen. "Actually, would it be weird if I said I'd rather just keep talking? I mean, I know we've only just met, but this is the best conversation I've had in months, and I'm not quite ready for it to end." "Not weird at all," Vanessa assured him. "I was hoping you'd say that." movies will always be there, but conversations like this are rarer than people think. She adjusted her position on the couch, creating an even more comfortable nest of cushions and soft throws. The movement brought her slightly closer to Wade, close enough that he could catch the faint scent of her shampoo, something clean and floral that reminded him of spring mornings and new possibilities. "Tell me something you've never told anyone else," she said, her voice taking on the quality of someone settling in for secrets. "Something that feels too small to matter, but actually matters quite a lot to you." Wade thought for a moment, surprised by how safe he felt with this near stranger, who somehow didn't feel like a stranger at all. "I collect interesting words," he admitted. "Not big, impressive words that make you sound smart, but little words that describe specific feelings or situations that everyone experiences but never talks about. Like the word for the satisfaction you feel when you successfully untangle a really complicated knot, or the term for that moment when you're walking somewhere familiar, but suddenly see it as if you're looking at it for the first time." Vanessa's face lit up with delight. "That's not small at all. That's beautiful. It's like you're collecting pieces of human experience that might otherwise get lost." "What about you?" Wade asked, emboldened by her enthusiasm. "What's your secret small thing?" She was quiet for a moment, her fingers tracing patterns on the arm of the couch as she considered her answer. "I write letters to my future self," she said finally. "Not like goals or resolutions, but just letters about how I'm feeling and what I'm learning and what I hope I'll remember when I'm older. I seal them in envelopes and date them for a year in the future. And when the time comes, I read them like messages from someone I used to be." Wade felt his heart do something complicated and wonderful in his chest. "That might be the most thoughtful thing I've ever heard anyone do. It's like you're taking care of all the different versions of yourself across time. I never thought of it that way." "But yes, exactly," Vanessa said, her voice warm with recognition. "It's like friendship, but with yourself." They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, processing the intimacy of what they just shared. Wade realized that somewhere in the space of a few hours, they'd moved from being strangers to being something else entirely, something that didn't have a name yet, but felt significant and real. The apartment around them had taken on the quality of a sanctuary, a place removed from the ordinary world where two people could discover each other without pretense or performance. The soft lighting, the comfortable furniture, the remnants of their shared meal, all of it contributed to a sense of safety and possibility that Wade had never quite experienced before. "Can I ask you something that might be too forward?" Vanessa said, her voice carrying a note of gentle vulnerability. "After pizza and secret confessions, I think we're past the point of too forward," Wade replied, though his heart picked up its pace slightly. "Do you ever feel like you're waiting for your real life to start?" she asked. "Like everything you're doing now is just marking time until the thing you're actually supposed to be doing reveals itself?" Wade considered her question seriously, recognizing the deep longing beneath it. "All the time," he admitted, "but sitting here with you, I'm starting to wonder if maybe that feeling comes from thinking that real life has to look a certain way. Maybe real life is just whatever we're paying attention to in any given moment." Vanessa nodded slowly, as if his words were helping her understand something she'd been trying to figure out for a long time. So real life could be delivering pizza and having unexpected conversations with strangers who turn out not to be strangers after all. "It could be exactly that," Wade agreed. "In fact, I'm starting to think it might be the most real thing that's happened to me in quite a while." The honesty hung in the air between them. comfortable and charged at the same time. Wade realized that they'd stumbled into something rare, a connection that felt both completely natural and entirely extraordinary. It was the kind of meeting that would be impossible to plan or replicate, the kind that only happened when two people were brave enough to be themselves and lucky enough to find someone who appreciated what they discovered. As the night deepened around them, their conversation continued to weave through topics both profound and playful, creating a tapestry of understanding that would become the foundation for everything that followed. They were writing the first chapter of their story without knowing it, laying groundwork for a love that would prove both gentle and transformative, built on laughter, honesty, and the radical act of truly seeing each other. Outside their small sanctuary, the city had settled into its late-night rhythm. Traffic sounds had softened to an occasional whisper of tires on pavement, and the building around them seemed to breathe quietly as its residents settled into sleep. But inside Vanessa's apartment, time moved at its own gentle pace, measured not in minutes, but in moments of connection that felt too precious to rush. Wade found himself studying the way Vanessa's hands moved when she talked, expressive gestures that painted pictures in the air to accompany her words. She had a habit of tucking a strand of hair behind her ear when she was thinking deeply, and her laugh came in different varieties, from quick bursts of amusement to longer rolling waves of genuine delight that made him want to be funnier, just to hear them again. "You know what I've been wondering about you," Vanessa said, settling deeper into the couch cushions with the relaxed posture of someone who had decided this evening was worth extending indefinitely. "I'm almost afraid to ask," Wade replied, though his smile suggested he was actually eager to hear whatever observation she'd been forming. "I've been wondering what your apartment looks like," she said. "Whether you're the type of person who owns exactly 3 pieces of furniture and calls it minimalism, or if you're secretly a collector of interesting things that don't quite go together, but somehow create their own strange harmony." Wade laughed, recognizing the accuracy of her second guess. "Definitely the collector of things that shouldn't work together, but somehow do. I have a vintage typewriter that doesn't work sitting next to a cactus named Gerald, and a bookshelf that's organized by color rather than subject, because I decided the rainbow effect was more important than finding anything efficiently." "Gerald the cactus," Vanessa repeated with obvious delight. "Please tell me there's a story behind that name." "There is, but it's embarrassingly sentimental," Wade warned, though he was already preparing to tell it anyway. "The best stories usually are," she encouraged. Wade shifted slightly on the couch, angling himself to face her more directly. "I bought Gerald from a woman at a farmer's market who told me that cacti live for decades if you treat them right, but they need names to feel like they're part of the family. She said plants without names are just decorations, but plants with names are companions." So I stood there for about 10 minutes, trying to think of what to call a small, spiky green thing, and Gerald just felt right, dignified but approachable. Vanessa's expression had gone soft with affection. "That's not embarrassing at all. That's lovely. It means you're someone who understands that taking care of living things is about more than just keeping them alive." "What about you?" Wade asked. "What does your secret plant philosophy reveal about your character?" She gestured toward the several plants scattered around her apartment, each one clearly thriving under her attention. "I talk to them," she admitted. "Not full conversations, but I tell them good morning when I water them, and I let them know when I'm going to be away for a few days. I figure if they're going to be sharing space with me, they should at least know what's happening in their environment." Wade felt something warm spread through his chest at this revelation. Here was someone who extended kindness to living things that couldn't reciprocate in any obvious way, simply because it felt like the right thing to do. It spoke to a gentleness of spirit that made him want to be the kind of person who deserved her attention. "I have a theory," he said, "that you can tell everything you need to know about a person by how they treat things that can't benefit them in return. Plants, animals, strangers who need help but can't offer anything in exchange." "That's a good theory," Vanessa agreed. "Though I'd add one more category: how they treat themselves when no one else is watching. Whether they're kind to their own mistakes and patient with their own learning process." Wade considered this addition, recognizing the wisdom in it. "You're suggesting that self-compassion is as important as compassion for others." "I'm suggesting they might be the same thing," she said. "It's hard to genuinely care for other people if you're constantly at war with yourself. And it's hard to be truly kind to yourself if you don't practice extending that same kindness outward." Their conversation had drifted into deeper waters without either of them noticing, the way meaningful discussions sometimes do when both people feel safe enough to explore ideas that matter. Wade realized that Vanessa had a gift for drawing out thoughts he hadn't known he was having, for creating space where ideas could unfold naturally. "Can I tell you something that might sound strange?" he asked. "Everything interesting sounds strange at first," she replied, giving him her full attention. "I feel like I've been waiting my whole life for a conversation like this one," Wade said. "Not necessarily with you specifically, because obviously I didn't know you existed until tonight, but for this feeling of talking with someone who gets the same things I get, who thinks about the world in similar ways." Vanessa was quiet for a moment, her expression thoughtful. "It doesn't sound strange at all," she said finally. "I think most people are walking around feeling like they're speaking a language that nobody else quite understands. And then occasionally, very rarely, you meet someone who not only speaks your language, but has been thinking about the same questions you've been wondering about alone." "Yes, exactly," Wade said, relief and recognition mingling in his voice. "It's like finding out you're not the only person who notices certain things about the world." She tucked her feet up under her, creating an even more comfortable nest on her end of the couch. "What kinds of things do you notice that you thought maybe nobody else paid attention to?" Wade thought for a moment, sifting through the collection of observations he'd accumulated over years of moving through the world with curious eyes. "I notice the way different neighborhoods have different rhythms," he said. "Like how you can tell what kind of place you're in just by listening to the timing of footsteps on the sidewalk, or how long people pause at intersections, or whether the ambient sound is more about people or more about traffic." "That's fascinating," Vanessa said. "I never thought about neighborhoods having rhythms, but now that you mention it, I can absolutely hear what you mean." "What else?" "I notice that every city has secret, beautiful places that you can only find by accident," Wade continued, warming to the topic. "Little parks tucked between buildings, or murals painted on walls that face away from the main streets, or coffee shops with perfect natural light that somehow never get crowded because they're just slightly off the beaten path." Vanessa's eyes lit up with recognition. "Yes, and those places always feel like gifts, like the city is rewarding you for paying attention instead of just rushing from point A to point B." "What about you?" Wade asked. "What do you notice?" She was quiet for a moment, gathering her thoughts. "I notice that people's faces change completely when they think nobody's watching them," she said. "Not in a bad way, but they become more themselves, like when someone's waiting for the bus and they think they're invisible, And suddenly, their expression shows exactly what they're really thinking about or how they're really feeling. It's like getting to see their actual personality instead of their public personality. Wade felt a little thrill of recognition. That's beautiful. You're talking about those moments when people's masks slip and you get to see who they actually are underneath all the performance. Exactly, she said. And usually, who they actually are is more interesting than who they're pretending to be. They continued sharing these small observations, building a bridge of mutual understanding, one noticed detail at a time. Wade discovered that Vanessa paid attention to the way light moved through spaces at different times of day, how the mood of a room could shift entirely based on whether the sun was coming through the windows or whether it was lit by lamps. She told him about her theory that every building had a personality that revealed itself through small details, like the sound of footsteps in the hallways or the way doors closed. As they talked, the remnants of their pizza grew cold and forgotten, but neither of them seemed inclined to clear away the evidence of their impromptu dinner. The boxes and empty plates had become part of the landscape of their evening, markers of how a simple transaction had transformed into something neither of them had expected. "I have a confession to make," Vanessa said, her voice taking on a slightly more serious tone. "When I ordered that pizza tonight, I wasn't really hungry. I was lonely, and I thought maybe if I had food delivered, it would feel a little less like I was spending another evening by myself." Wade felt something tender and protective stir in his chest at her honesty. "I'm glad you ordered it," he said simply, "even if it was for reasons that had nothing to do with actually wanting pizza." "What about you?" she asked. "Do you ever take jobs or do things just because it means you'll have to interact with other people, even if it's just brief, professional interactions?" Wade nodded, understanding exactly what she meant. "All the time. Sometimes I think half the reason I took the pizza delivery job was because it guaranteed I'd have to talk to at least a dozen people every shift, even if most of those conversations only lasted 30 seconds. There's something both sad and beautiful about that," Vanessa observed. "Sad that we have to create artificial reasons to connect with each other, but beautiful that we're resourceful enough to find ways to make it happen anyway." "Maybe that's what makes tonight feel so special," Wade suggested. "It started as an artificial interaction, but it turned into something real, without either of us having to work at making it happen." Vanessa smiled, and Wade noticed how her whole face transformed when she was genuinely happy. It wasn't just her mouth that smiled, but her eyes, the set of her shoulders, even the way she held her head. "I think you're right," she said. "It feels like we accidentally stumbled into exactly what we were both looking for, without knowing we were looking for it." The apartment had grown even cozier as the night progressed, the soft lighting and comfortable furniture creating an atmosphere of intimacy and safety. Outside, the city had settled into its deepest quiet, the kind of late-night hush that makes indoor conversations feel more precious and private. Wade found himself studying Vanessa's face as she talked, memorizing the details without meaning to, the way her eyebrows moved expressively when she was making a point, the small smile that played at the corners of her mouth, even when she wasn't actively smiling, the way she listened with her whole body, leaning slightly forward when he was speaking, as if she didn't want to miss a single word. "Can I ask you something that might be too personal?" she said, her voice gentle but curious. "After everything we've already shared, I think we're past the point of too personal," Wade replied, echoing her earlier sentiment about being past the point of too forward. What made you become the kind of person who notices things? She asked. Like, was there a moment when you decided to pay attention to the world differently? Or is it just how you've always been? Wade considered her question seriously, tracing back through his memories to find the origin of his particular way of seeing. I think it started when I was a kid, he said slowly. I spent a lot of time by myself, not because I didn't like people, but because I was curious about everything, and I figured out that you notice more when you're quiet and still than when you're rushing around trying to keep up with everyone else. That makes sense, Vanessa said. Solitude is a choice rather than something that happens to you. Exactly, Wade agreed. And I discovered that if you watch carefully enough, even the most ordinary things become interesting. Like how shadows move across a wall during the course of an afternoon, or how the same street can look completely different depending on whether you're walking towards something or away from something. Vanessa nodded thoughtfully. I think I developed my attention to detail for similar reasons, but maybe with a different motivation. I was always interested in people, in what made them tick, and I figured out that people reveal themselves in small gestures and expressions more than in the big, obvious things they say about themselves. So, you became a student of human nature, Wade observed. I suppose I did, she agreed, though I never thought of it in those terms. I just thought of it as being curious about the people around me. Wade felt a wave of affection for this woman who had turned curiosity into a form of compassion, who had learned to see people clearly without judging them harshly. That's a beautiful way to move through the world, he told her, being genuinely interested in understanding people rather than just categorizing them or writing them off. It's made my life more interesting, Vanessa said. Even when I was working jobs I didn't love or living in places that weren't quite right, there were always people to observe and understand. It kept me from getting too bored or too bitter. As she spoke, Wade realized that this quality of attention, this gentle curiosity about the world and the people in it, was part of what drew him to her so strongly. Here was someone who had chosen to remain open and interested, despite whatever disappointments or difficulties she'd encountered. Someone who had decided that the world was worth paying attention to, that people were worth trying to understand. I think, he said carefully, that you might be one of the most optimistic people I've ever met, even though you don't present it as optimism. You present it as curiosity. But underneath that curiosity is a fundamental belief that life and people are interesting and worthwhile. Vanessa considered this observation, tilting her head slightly as she processed it. You know, I never thought of curiosity as a form of optimism, but I think you might be right. If you didn't believe that understanding something was worthwhile, you probably wouldn't bother trying to understand it. And if you didn't believe that people were fundamentally worth knowing, you wouldn't spend time learning to read their expressions and gestures, Wade added. So what does that make you? She asked. Someone who notices the secret, beautiful places in the rhythms of neighborhoods, in the words that describe feelings nobody talks about. Wade thought about it, recognizing that her question was really an invitation to see himself through her eyes, to understand how his particular way of engaging with the world might look to someone else. Maybe someone who believes that there's magic hiding in plain sight, he said. That the ordinary world is actually extraordinary if you look at it the right way. I like that, Vanessa said softly. Magic hiding in plain sight. It explains why talking to you feels like discovering something I didn't know I'd been looking for. The compliment landed somewhere deep in Wade's chest, in a place where he stored his hopes about connection and belonging. He realized that this evening had become something far more significant than either of them had anticipated when it began. What had started as a simple transaction had become a recognition, a meeting of minds and hearts that felt both completely surprising and completely inevitable. They sat in the gentle quiet that follows meaningful conversation, both of them aware that something had shifted between them, without either feeling the need to name it or analyze it. The apartment around them had taken on the quality of a cocoon, protecting this fragile new thing they were building together from the outside world that might not understand how quickly two strangers could become something more. Wade found himself thinking about the randomness of the evening, how a simple pizza delivery route could lead to sitting on a couch with someone who seemed to understand the language he'd been speaking to himself for years. It felt like the kind of coincidence that people wrote songs about, the kind that made believers out of skeptics when it came to the idea that the universe sometimes conspired to bring the right people together at exactly the right moment. "You know what I keep thinking about?" Vanessa said, breaking the comfortable silence that had settled between them. "What's that?" Wade asked, turning to give her his full attention. "I keep thinking about how many times I almost didn't answer the door tonight," she admitted. "I was comfortable, I was tired, and part of me just wanted to pretend I wasn't home. But something made me get up and open the door anyway. And now I can't imagine what this evening would have been like if I hadn't." Wade felt a little chill at the thought of how easily this entire encounter might never have happened. "I almost didn't take this delivery," he confessed. "It was the last one of my shift, and I was tempted to call it a night early. But something told me to take one more run, and now I'm sitting here thinking about how different everything might have been if I'd just gone home instead." "It's strange to think about all the tiny decisions that led to this moment," Vanessa mused. "Like how many other conversations like this one never happen because someone decides not to answer a door, or someone chooses to go home early, or someone orders from a different restaurant." Wade nodded, struck by the delicate chain of choices that had brought them together. "It makes you wonder how many amazing people we pass by every day without ever knowing what we might have discovered about each other if we'd just been brave enough to start a conversation, or patient enough to let one develop naturally," Vanessa added. "I think that might be the rarest thing of all, giving conversations time to breathe and grow instead of rushing through them to get to some predetermined destination." Wade looked around the apartment again, taking in the way the soft lighting made everything feel suspended in amber, preserving this moment against the passage of time. "I don't want this evening to end," he said, the honesty slipping out before he could second-guess it. "Neither do I," Vanessa replied without hesitation. "But I also don't want to force it to be something it's not ready to become yet. Does that make sense?" Wade understood exactly what she meant. There was something precious about the pace they'd found together, the way their connection had been allowed to unfold organically, without pressure or expectations. "It makes perfect sense," he assured her. "Some things are worth taking slowly, worth savoring instead of consuming." Vanessa smiled at his choice of words. "Like a really good meal that you don't want to rush through, because you know you'll miss the subtle flavors if you eat too quickly. Or like a book that's so good, you deliberately slow down your reading pace because you don't want it to end," Wade added, building on her metaphor. "Exactly," she agreed. "Some experiences are meant to be lingered over, not conquered or completed." And so, as the night wrapped itself around them like a warm blanket, Wade and Vanessa discovered what love stories are really made of. Not grand gestures or perfect timing, but the gentle magic of two people choosing to see each other clearly. Their story reminds us that the most extraordinary adventures often begin with the simplest acts of courage, like answering a door, sharing a pizza, or deciding to stay present for whatever beautiful surprise life might deliver next. Sweet dreams, and may your own heart remain open to the unexpected gifts that tomorrow might bring.